In the year 2000, a young man employed at one of South Africa's biggest telecommunications companies had an idea that would go on to change the way millions communicated across the continent. The concept was simple but powerful, a way to send a free message when you had no airtime, asking someone to call you back, a feature now taken for granted, but one that proved transformative at the time. This is the story of that idea. It's the story of Nkosana Makate, the man behind the "please call me" concept. But it's not just a tale of innovation. It's also a story of corporate power, legal struggle, and a man's fight for recognition and justice against a telecommunications giant, Vodacom. For over 2 decades, this case has evolved from an internal employee suggestion into one of South Africa's most high-profile legal sagas, raising questions around intellectual property, corporate ethics, compensation, and the rights of employees within massive institutions. Chapter 1. The idea that changed everything. Nkosana Makate was no engineer. He wasn't a developer. He wasn't working in Vodacom's innovation or product development teams. He was a young accountant working in the finance division of Vodacom in November 2000. Makate's idea came from something very real, very personal, and very African. The problem of running out of airtime but still needing to make urgent contact with someone. In the days before WhatsApp, smartphones, or mobile data packages, people relied on SMS and voice calls. And when airtime ran out, many were left with no way to communicate. This was a common problem for millions of South Africans, and indeed Africans at large, especially those from low-income communities. Makate saw this gap, and what he envisioned was a service that would allow a user to send a free SMS that simply asked the recipient to call them back. The idea was to give power to the people without power, those who couldn't afford to make a call but desperately needed to reach out. He pitched the idea to his then superior, Philip Geisler, who was Vodacom's director of product development at the time. According to Makate, Geisler immediately saw the potential and encouraged him to pursue the concept further. The two agreed, at least verbally, that if the idea turned into a viable product, and if it brought value to Vodacom, Makate would be compensated. There was no written contract, no formal documentation, just a verbal understanding. Makate went back to his regular duties. Within weeks, the concept was transformed into a real product. Vodacom launched it, quietly at first, and called it "Please Call Me." Chapter 2. The explosion of a service. The "Please Call Me" service took off almost overnight. Millions of users across South Africa began using it. Its genius lay in its simplicity and accessibility. Anyone, regardless of their income level, could send a message like "Please call me" to someone else, prompting them to call back. Vodacom had found something unique, a service that cost virtually nothing to implement, but drove voice call volumes up significantly. Every "Please call me" message potentially turned into a paid call. And with millions of messages sent each day, the revenue boost was enormous. By 2005, Vodacom was seeing an increase in total call traffic, much of which could be linked directly to the "Please Call Me" service. In fact, according to later legal estimates, the service brought Vodacom billions of rand in additional revenue through indirect call activity. But while Vodacom was celebrating its innovation, Makate was being left behind. He wasn't acknowledged in the company's public communications. He wasn't paid any bonus. He wasn't offered stock or incentives. In fact, he was met with silence. Worse, when he inquired about the compensation promised, the doors began to close.